Take a look at the clock. Got so many things to do. Tick tock. You feel as if the world is spinning.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Maunda Charles, Chief Time Officer and President of Purposeful Time, where I conduct time management coaching for individuals and consulting for businesses. I'm also the author of 2 time management books, the first being Manage Your Time, Manage Your Life Purposefully, and the second is My Purposeful Planner. Both of these are great tools to help you to manage your time so that you can manage your life. Today, I have a treat for you. I am interviewing our oldest daughter who is in college, and I want to just have her share her thoughts on the importance of time management as you're a college student. So, Sanaya, introduce yourself and tell us about you.
Hey everyone, my name is Sanaya Benet. I'm a 5th semester student at Berklee College of Music, and I'm studying a double major in music business management and professional music with concentrations in performance and production.
Awesome. So, Sanaya, you're a dual major. What does that mean for you?
A lot of work. It's definitely a large course load, especially being a musician and an artist, someone who has to deal with rehearsals pretty much every day throughout the week. And I'm also very active in my church as well. So I have rehearsals not only for shows that take place on campus, but also rehearsals for ministry.
So, in addition to the academic coursework, there's an expectation that you are to do performances throughout the year. Is there like a specific amount that you have to do, or how is that determined?
So the amount of performances you do per year are really up to you. It just depends on how well you network with other students, how well you get involved with the Berklee community. Different opportunities that teachers may bring to you may help you get more performances on campus. So it really just depends on what you want to do as an artist. What is your goal as far as performing goes? Whether you want to vocal direct, be a music director for shows, it all depends on what your goals are. For me personally, this semester, since we got quarantined, the amount of shows I had got cut down. But I would have had at least 7 shows that I was in this semester, and that's just at Berklee alone. That doesn't include performances or ministry, at church and other events outside of school and church. So it definitely is a lot to manage, but I'm glad we're talking about this because it's a huge help to keep everything in a calendar. Because literally, I had to keep everything in a calendar when I was eating lunch, when I was going to sleep, when I was hanging out with friends, when I was praying. So everything was in my schedule because it means a lot, and it does a lot for helping to maintain and keep track of everything you have to do in your life.
And so that is a lot. It is. So you're a dual major. That's a lot in and of itself. You're actually taking a high course load every semester. You are doing rehearsals, you're doing performances, and you're also working part-time. So for those that are out there and intending to go to college or already in college, one thing that you want to make note of that she said was she kept everything, literally everything, in her calendar. And so talk about how you track or how you plan for your week.
So I usually take every Sunday of the week to pretty much break down everything I'm going to have to do, all the rehearsals, all the classes I have to go to, any work I need to do, any get-togethers that I said I was going to have with friends. Sometimes I was doing people's hair, so hair appointments in my calendar. Everything I needed to do, when I was going to do my homework, stuff like that. Everything I needed to do and that I planned to do for the week, I put it in my calendar. And also, another thing I also made sure to do was leave room for things to come up, because you never know when things are going to happen in your life. You never know when people are going to need an emergency phone call because they're breaking down about a test or something like that. So you always want to leave room for spontaneous events to take place, but also make sure that you're mapping out enough time for you to be able to get everything done. So I had everything in my schedule as far as homework goes, because you never really know what homework you're going to get assigned to until you get into the classroom. So every time I would get homework, I would immediately write it down in my calendar. Or I also had another app called My Homework, I believe, and it kept track of all the homework assignments I had to do, the ones I had already completed and the ones I still had yet to complete. And that really just helped me keep track of everything I had to do for the week. So I did that every week, pretty much beginning of this semester. just mapping out everything, taking it like an hour, 30 minutes even. It doesn't take that long on Sunday to just plan everything out.
Planning.
Planning.
That's important. Do you feel like you have been prepared to function at this capacity from maybe your high school experience, or I know this is probably at a whole nother level, but do you feel like you've had practice in time management during high school?
I think I had a little bit of practice, definitely nothing compared to college, but I definitely had a little bit of practice in high school just because I personally was doing a lot. For those who may attend Spirit of Faith, I was actually a part of SFBI. I graduated in 2016, so I started in 2013, which was in 8th grade, and that pretty much went up all the way into sophomore, junior year. I can't remember which year that was, but so I was involved in that. I was also involved on the basketball team, National Honor Society in 8th grade and middle school and all that. So I had a lot of different things going on in high school. So I already was introduced, I think, heavily to a very busy schedule. I was also taking a full IB and AP course load in high school, so that on top of SFBI was a lot already. So I definitely had some experience with that. Nothing compared to now, because I think the workload that classes bring you or college brings you is different from the workload that college brings you in a music setting, because not only do you have a curriculum to maintain, but you also have, like I said, rehearsals and shows that happen throughout the week, at late hours of the night. So it definitely helped to prepare me, but it's definitely a different, entirely different thing now.
Yeah, so she's actually truly a musician, doing those musician hours up at the wee hours of the night and morning. But I believe because this is what you feel that you're called to do and that this is what you love to do, it's all worth it. I like the fact that they require you to do performances because it's perfecting your craft.
Right.
And you could all sit in a classroom and just do coursework, but it's nothing like application. So going back to just your training or your practice run in high school in terms of time management, what would you say or what would you offer as advice to high school students that might be juniors or seniors to prepare them for what college is going to bring?
I would definitely say try to expose yourself to as many opportunities as you can, as far as working, as far as being a part of clubs or community projects. Those definitely helped to, I think, mature my mentality a little bit as it pertains to time management and just managing a schedule, because it's a really big jump coming from high school to college, especially if you didn't have that experience. Like, I have a lot of friends and I know a lot of people personally who really struggled within their first or second semester just adjusting because they didn't have that practice, and they also didn't take it seriously in high school. They didn't take time management because, high school, everyone's, we're enjoying ourselves, we're growing, building relationships, and that's really everyone, really anything. Yeah, that's the focus. So I really would encourage people to not take on more than you can handle at one time, but take on just enough to where it forces you to come up with a routine, come up with a schedule, and stick to it.
That's good.
Also, I think another thing that's really helped me in college is having accountability partners to help me keep track of what's on my schedule. So right now I have a group of friends in college who we all have a group chat together, and we've shared our schedules for the year, so everyone knows like when we're in class, when we're free. We come up with study times. We come up with times just to hang out, because you do need time to release and relax. Make sure that's always important, because running around is not it. Okay, it's not healthy. So I always make sure I have accountability partners in college, as well as even my friends back home. I send my class schedules to my friends back home, and just we exchange schedules and exchange just everything we have to do for that week or for that day, just to make sure that we are staying on track with everything. Because it's one thing to, I think, maintain your own schedule by yourself, but it's another thing when someone is holding you to that, because you feel like you not only have a responsibility to yourself but to that person, because you don't want to let them down. So it's really important to do that. Yeah.
I like what you said about not taking on too much, because we can get excited about all the opportunities that are there. But from a parent perspective, your child, and when they're at that point where it's like, okay, it's too much. And so it's good for you to be involved as well, not to be lording over what they do every single day, but to know the class schedule, to know what kind of social schedule that they have, so you can kind of get an understanding of where they are when you have your conversations. If you hear in that voice that anxiety, you want to be able to speak to that. So I think that it's good to have accountability from a parent perspective as well, because again, you know your child. What would you suggest that parents do to help their students to be more accountable with regard to time management?
I would say one thing is trust your child. Although college, going from high school to college is a huge jump, it is something that really snaps us into reality really quick. And I find that a lot of college students really start to pay attention and start to take things a lot more seriously when they get into college. And so I think, sometimes, and I've done this too, where I maybe I've known somebody for so long, and I think I've become acquainted with all their their habits and their tendencies. And sometimes we tend to take that mindset and keep it stuck with that person, and not realize how much they've grown until they're put into a situation. And you never really know how much you've grown till you're able to apply it in a situation. So I would just say, to take the time to just let your child feel it out first. Obviously, still be involved, ask questions, check up on them, see how their day is going, but just allow them to kind of get in the zone and get in the college environment first. One thing that we do personally is they know my class schedule, so they know like when I'm free, they know when to go. Sometimes, because sometimes in my free time I'm not free, but they have a general idea of when I'm where. And so I think that's really good because it helps to keep that parent-child connection and communication going. But it also lets the child know that, they're there if, the child needs them. But I definitely, like you said earlier, not hovering over your child. They're in a position where they're forced to be an adult. And so life is going to come. You have to let your child learn how to deal with life on their own, because that's what the college experience is about. So don't baby them, don't, if they ask for help, obviously be there, and be there regardless of whether they ask for it or not, but let them learn it and feel it out, because that's how we all grow, especially in the college setting.
And I think during the college period, that's like the final transition into full adulthood. So it's kind of like you're learning to release. And so where I may know her schedule and be able to suggest or even try to mandate what she should be doing and when, that I relinquish to her, because she has to be able to do that. She has to be able to prepare her own schedule. She has to know when she needs to be where, and if she's off on how much time she needs to do something, she needs to be able to transition to manage that. Right. Because when life comes, she's going to have to be able to do that. I'm not going to be able to jump in for her. And this is what we are preparing them for. We're preparing them for life. We're preparing them for adulthood. And so time management is really an essential characteristic or practice that they need to have, because with everything that life has to offer, we want to be able to manage everything that we're supposed to be doing. So you have siblings coming up behind you. She has 4 other siblings. What would you say to them, or even younger siblings that are watching their brother or sister that is going to college? What would you say that they should glean from either that experience or your experience?
I would definitely say take high school more seriously. Take the time more seriously. Obviously, have fun, have a bunch of fun, and involve yourself in sports and all those activities and things. But make sure you're really setting yourself up for success, whether that's, like I was mentioning earlier, getting involved in a club or a leadership position of some sort, working if you can part-time, doing something of that nature, volunteer work as well. Just do things that will help get you in the mindset of being an adult and managing yourself. I think one of the things that really helped me is, especially in college now, is taking on a leadership position. I co-lead a Bible study group on campus, and so that not only does that give me something else to have something in my schedule, but it also gives me another feeling of responsibility. not just to myself but to others. So, just involving yourselves in things that are going to help make you a better adult and more well prepared adult. Because as much as high school, helps to prepare us as far as, learning the things we need to learn in our math classes and science classes and stuff like that, it doesn't do everything necessary to help prepare you for college, which I think is why a lot of students have such a hard time struggling, because we're coming from such a very like baby, sheltered environment, where your parents are really managing pretty much a lot of the things you do, for most high school students, and then you're jumping to now you're in a different state, almost. So it's really important to just set yourself up for success and put yourself in things where you can take responsibility over them, and also show your maturity as well. I think that'll really help not only you but your parents as well be more comforted by the fact that they know that they're sending their child off to a school with a mature mindset and with a position where they know and they can be confident in the fact that you'll take care of the things that you need to take care of, and take care of yourself as well.
Right. And that's a good point, because so you are a 5th semester student, but you actually started on campus last year. And so there was a transition period that we wanted to make sure that we had, to make sure she had all the life skills that were necessary for transition into college. Because while you may be great academically, you still have to know how to live on your own. So that's something that we want to consider. Also, a lot of high schools, I know a lot of the teachers, the counselors, they want the student to fend for themselves. They don't want the parent to email them about a homework assignment or anything like that, because they're teaching the child to speak for themselves. And so that's something that you really want to have your child do in high school, so that they learn to be responsible for what is theirs. And that will carry over into college, because you're not, or you should not be contacting the college professor about an assignment that your student has. That's something that they're an adult at that point.
Right.
So they need to deal with adult things. They're no longer a child. And so just circling back to the whole time management piece, give us a few, maybe 3 pointers or more if you have any, in terms of exactly how, let's go through your Sunday routine. What do you look at? What do you write down? How do you determine what you need to do, so that maybe somebody can get started even after this video? You have some keys to begin.
So one of the first things I do is remind myself that everyone has 24 hours in a day, and that I have enough time to do everything I want to do as long as I map it out. So I don't go into the whole scheduling process thinking like, oh, I'm going to run out of time or I don't have time. I always have time. Everyone has time, but it's like you said, how we manage it. So I put myself in that position. I'm looking at my calendar on my laptop. I like to use my laptop because it transfers everything to my phone, so I can have my calendar wherever I go pretty much. If you like to use an agenda, writing it down, physically, that's great too. Writing also helps you remember things a lot more. So after kind of getting myself in that like mindset, in that state, I check out my calendar and look at all the hours I have, what I can get done within 30-minute blocks, and what I need to get done in hour or 2-hour blocks. And I map out things based on that. I also look at where my classes are falling throughout my day. If I've agreed to do any hangouts or get-togethers or study sessions with anybody, I map those out in my schedule as well. I map out the Bible study group. I map out rehearsals that I may have for shows, when the shows are, any due dates that I have for assignments or payments or anything along those lines. I put those on my calendar as well, and just make sure that I have everything down. I think it's one thing I definitely learned is that I cannot remember everything in my head. So everything needs to be written down. Like I said before, writing down when I'm eating, when I'm sleeping, which doesn't always happen at that time, but at least you have a plan. And so that it helps you stay organized. When I'm going to be going to church, when I don't know, need to go grocery shopping or something like that. Everything, like even the smallest things, like, oh, I need to go pick up a book from CVS or something. The smallest things need to be put in there so you know exactly what you're doing when. And it's not robotic. It's not like, oh, I'm just following orders. Like, no, it's helping you to be able to maximize your time.
Right.
So I think that's one thing. The other tip that I definitely learned how to do between last semester and this semester is it's okay to say no. I had to learn how to say no because I'm the kind of person who loves to help people with whatever, and I've had a very hard time saying no in the past. And with all these shows and things that I was getting asked to do, I'm also a vocal arranger, so people started asking me to do vocal arrangements, study sessions, hair, shows and stuff like that. So you have to learn how to balance. You have to know what you can handle,
Right.
and not to say that we are not strong enough, but we're not supposed to. Your body has to have rest of some sort. So you have to make sure that you're taking on just enough, but not too much to the point where you cannot fulfill any of the other tasks that you have in your calendar, because we have to prioritize. For me, being a student, one of my priorities is class. So if I'm doing shows and rehearsals back to back and it's causing me to stay up till 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. every day and not be able to study enough for that class, and I'm getting C's and D's in the class now, then something's out of balance. So you have to learn. So you have to learn how to, manage all of that and say no. It's okay to say no. People will find other people to do the job for them, and let it be that. You have to understand what you can bring to people, but also what access, you have to understand the amount of access you should allow and should not allow other people to have to you.
One thing I always like to say is we all have enough time to do the things that we're supposed to do, because God is not going to say, yes, it's okay for you to this, and yes, it's okay for you to do that, yes, it's okay for you to do all these things, and you not have the time to carry them out. Where we run into the problem is when we're doing things that we're not supposed to be doing. Although they may be good things, they may be not things that you should be doing right now.
Right.
And so you really have to rely on Holy Spirit as well, so that okay, I really want to help this person, or I really need to get this thing done, but what should I be doing? What should I be doing? And that will really help just guide in that whole scheduling process.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that you bring up, because that's one of the things that I definitely ask God and seek God about daily in my prayer time is what is my purpose in this season, and that really going to God with that mindset will help open up a lot of avenues and doors for you to see what exactly it is you're supposed to be doing at a set time. And it'll also bring you opportunities without you even having to ask, that'll fit right in with what your current schedule is. So it's not so much about making opportunities for yourself, but it's making space for those opportunities to come, as long as they're in line with the purpose and plan that God has destined for your life.
That's good. I want to read part of what you said in this book. So in my book, I asked all of my family members to just write something really briefly on the importance of time management to them. So my husband and all 5 of my children wrote a little statement here. And I just wanted to read something that she wrote. And this was in her last semester of high school. And so we're going to compare, or just get an understanding of what that statement means now after I read it. Okay. So one of the statements that you made was, if we don't use our time wisely, how will we be able to accomplish everything we have set in our hearts to do? Everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. It's what you do in those 24 hours that counts. Do you see any correlation to what you were thinking in high school to now? Is it more real now?
Yeah, I definitely think it's more real. I think in high school you're kind of in that stage where you're trying to figure out what you want to do, what the plan is for your life, and you're looking at all these different people who may be mainstream or big in the public eye, and you're wondering I want to get to that point. And while you're sitting here looking at them doing everything they're doing, they're doing what they need to be doing to get to where you're looking at them from. So I think it's definitely more real now, because I'm seeing, one, I understand, I have a pretty good understanding of what my purpose is and what my call is, by God. So not only has that helped to shift where I put my time, but it's also helped me to understand what I'm doing, how what I'm doing is impacting and being influenced by my purpose. And so I definitely think it's more real. Like I said, in the book, everyone has the same amount of time. It's what you do at that time. And I think that's really what distinguishes successful people from non-successful people, because successful people are always looking for ways to advance themselves and the lives of those around them, and they maximize their moments all the time. Where you have non-successful people are sitting here staring,
Right.
And wasting time when they could be doing stuff to improve themselves. So
that's good. One more statement I wanted to read. It says, I have been able to maximize my time by using purposeful time management so that I can accomplish my priorities and also make time for things that I want to do as well. I thought that was good because a lot of times when we talk about time management, I think people think that we are looking at scheduling something so rigid that we're only addressing their needs versus being allotting time for wants. So if you manage your time well, you can do both. Of course, you have to address the priorities first, but when you do that, you can see the time that's available to do the things that you want to do as well. So you'll have a full you'll have full enjoyment of your life because you'll be able to do the things that you need to do and also address the things that you want to do. So do you have a closing statement for anybody that's watching? Maybe one of the seniors or the juniors or the up and coming students or even parents.
Well, after you read that, something that I just thought about was the fact that there's a huge difference between time management and purposeful time management. I think that with time management, you can manage anything, whether that's, how much you sleep or play a video game. Like it's still management, but it's not purposeful time management. And I think one of the main things about this whole package that you have here is, like you said, addressing the needs and the wants and tying that all together to be what your purpose is and to allow you to walk in who God has called you to be. And so I think that, I guess for all the seniors and for all even the college students and the adults now who are trying to figure out, how to manage their schedule, I would first go back to asking God, what is it and who is it that he's called you to be? And then allow Holy Spirit to direct you in what you're supposed to be doing when, what events, what opportunities you're supposed to be involved in, what relationships you're supposed to be building, and put that into your schedule so that you can see a consistent, flow of your purpose throughout everything you're doing, whether that's what you're eating, whether that's what you're reading, if you're a teacher, what you're teaching, all these things tie into who we're supposed to be and all the gifts and things that God has placed on the inside of us. So I would just say, remember that, there's a difference. There's a huge difference between being purposeful and not being purposeful, and it makes a huge difference.
That's really good. And as we close, I'll just make a statement to the parents. As she said, there is a difference between just managing time and managing purpose. And one thing that came to mind when you said that was we tend to have our kids in all of these activities. And I talk about this in my book, but we really need to consider, are these activities pointing them towards their purpose? Because it's time that's being taken up doing these things. Right. And if it's time that you can allot to something that's specifically geared to their purpose, that's where you want to allot that time. Because you are pointing them in the direction that they're supposed to go. So just be mindful when you have all these activities that you're scheduling your child in. Is it something that's part of their purpose? There's nothing wrong with doing something fun, but if it's taking away time from their purpose, then we really need to reconsider that. All right? Well, thank you for watching. We hope that you enjoyed this interview, and enjoy the rest of your day and manage your time well. Order your copies of these time management tools today at PurposefulTime.com.
We're here to help you maximize your time. Purposeful time is the way to go.
Discover the time master in you.